David Boyle, and I'm quitting alcohol. So I think I've found my Indian Adrian. This kid is really starting to rub me the wrong fucking way. He's not at Adrian levels yet, but he's fucking entering the discussion. So at about 7 o'clock every night, I go downstairs and my kid and his two friends are downstairs waiting for me, and we have a big play fight. And the two kids are older. My kid's 5 in June. One of the other kids is 9 and the other one's 12. They're the kids my wife is tutoring. And by the way, remember how I fucking said they were geniuses and everything in the school book was difficult? Well, they're not. My wife's been tutoring them. They're idiots and their school is some sort of fucking scam. It's a ripoff. They're just passing these kids. Apparently these kids are struggling with fucking addition. But when it comes around to test time, the teachers have been feeding these kids the answers. So they don't learn anything, but they pass, and it seems like they're getting a wonderful education, but these kids know nothing. And it's driving my wife fucking insane, this tutoring. So anyway, I go down for a play fight about 7 o'clock because they're not playing with their friends in the street at the moment. Everyone's fucking sort of locked down, and I'm like, fuck it, they need a little bit of action. So I slam them. It's less a play fight and more me pretending I'm the Undertaker. So the two younger kids are just brave. They're just like kamikazes. They just go after me and I just grab them and I slam them. Sometimes their head goes into the brick wall. They ride it off and get straight back to it. But this fucking 12-year-old kid, this fucking little pussy, when all three of them come charging at me, he hangs out the back, waits for his two mates to get fucking slammed. Then he grabs a pillow, throws it at my head and runs away. And he keeps on doing it. Whenever I go after him, he uses one of the younger kids as like a shield and then runs off. And I'm like, that's it. I'm getting this kid hard. So I chase after him, slam him into the couch, do this a few times. I slam all of them. So after I slam them, they run off and the younger kids went and hid. And this older kid started telling me where they're hiding. And I'm like, you don't fucking rat your friends out. If you rat your friends out, I'm coming after you harder, 12-year-old kid who doesn't know any better. You're learning some fucking life lessons here. So after he ratted his friends out, I just grabbed him, slammed him. I may have accidentally cracked his head on the stone wall. He may have accidentally got a little bit concussed. That actually was an accident. I grabbed him by the legs and swung him around. And when I went to throw him, his head sort of just clipped this stone thing. So, yeah. But anyway, after the fight, I got my wife downstairs to explain to this kid, you don't fucking rat on your friends. Because I don't think he understood what I was saying when I'm like, you fucking turncoat. You don't rat on your mates. So I told my wife to tell him, don't fucking throw your friends in the shit just to save yourself. That's cowardly. Even though we've all done it, and probably me more than most. But I've learnt my lessons. I know it's wrong now. So anyway, we're play fighting again. And the two younger kids, they're just fucking kamikazes, just trying to headbutt my nuts, fucking crazy little psychos. And they do this thing, they've made a plan, they call it the number 6, and all three of them hold hands and charge at me and try and take me all together. But what happens is, this Indian Adrian's in the middle, and just before they all get to me, he flings the two younger kids at me, and then he runs off, so he doesn't get hit. And I'm like, hey, you don't do that, I said. So anyway, they start doing the number 6 again, and they charge at me all holding hands. He flings them at me again. I grab the younger two, and then this 12-year-old charges at me and knees me in the thigh as hard as he could, like a flying knee into my thigh. And I'm like, you little fuck. But I'm like, I've been pretty rough with them. I understand why he's giving me the knee. And they do it maybe like 4 or 5 more times, and he's just launching knees at me now, directly into my thighs, just leading with the knees. But not like courageously. He throws the two younger kids in there as a decoy, and then sneak attacks my thigh with his bony little Indian knee. And after about the 4th or 5th knee, I'm like, I'm going to fucking smash this kid if he does that again. But I had to calm myself down. I'm like... This is a grown man talking about fighting a 12-year-old. So I'm like, the next time he throws that fucking knee, I'm just going to grab him and slam him. And so he comes the next time, and instead of throwing the knee, he throws a full punch into my ribs. And it didn't really hurt that much, but it's the fucking principle of the thing. He's getting me on the sneak attack after he sacrificed his 2 fucking soldiers. I don't like it. So that happened 2 more times. He got me in the ribs with his bony Indian knuckles. And then I'm like, fuck this kid. I'm going to slam this fuck. And so I picked him up. I wasn't going to fucking hurt him or anything. I was just going to fucking give him a little bit of a shock. So I go to pick him up. And then he starts scratching and eye gouging and shit. I'm like, you little fucker. You fucking little scrappy junkyard dog. I don't know. But the fights are fucking escalating. And I'm getting reports back from my wife that this oldest kid, the 12-year-old, it just lies all the time. And he always rats in the other 2 kids for doing bad shit to save himself. I don't like it at all. I think I might have to stop doing the play fighting just in case I subconsciously / very consciously injure this little fuck. Oh yeah, and the other thing is, every afternoon at about 4:30, I start making a fucking protein shake to try and strip this last bit of fat off my body so I can get fucking Instagram hot. And who do you think is lurking around at 4:30 every fucking day when I'm making a milkshake? This little fuck. With a fucking cup in hand trying to ask questions. So I've been giving him some shake, and when I give him some shake, I have to give the other 2 some shake as well. So I'm out of half a shake. Anyway, that's enough of that. Let's move on to this week's Boyle Breaks History. I haven't done a Boyle Breaks History in a couple of weeks. Last week, I think that's when everyone was dying in India, so I just stuck to that topic. This week, I'm covering a topic that's very close to my heart, the history of meth, methamphetamine. So methamphetamine is obviously meth, ice, shard, all that's the same shit. Speed is like the powdered form of meth. Then you've got like the pharmaceutical meth, which is like Ritalin, Benzedrine, Dexedrine, and some other ones, I forget. They're all the ones I've tried, so I remember the names. Except Benzedrine, I don't think I tried Benzedrine. I think that was old school. So amphetamine was synthesized in 1887 by the Germans. Trust the Germans to be on it. And then in 1893, 6 years later, methamphetamine was synthesized. I don't know what the difference is. I think methamphetamine's just better than amphetamine. I think meth means the good shit. And then a couple of decades later, in 1919, the Japanese came along and they fucking made the real good meth. I think before the Japanese got hold of it, meth was pretty shit. But once the Japanese got involved, they really cranked it up. It became water soluble, became really potent and whatever. But do you see the link there? The Germans and the Japanese, both involved in the creation of meth. Is that a coincidence? I don't know. So during the 20s, meth was used for just about everything. Headaches, depression, Parkinson's, getting a hard-on, appetite suppression, all that shit. They thought it was a fucking wonder drug, just like everything. And then World War II came along, and meth was used heavily by the German soldiers. It was given to them by the fucking truckload. And they weren't smoking it out of a fucking glass pipe in an alleyway. They had some cute little tablets called Pervitin. All the German soldiers had them. And nothing scares me more than the thought of a fucking Nazi soldier fucking methed up to the eyeballs rolling into your town. Is there anything scarier than that? Just some fucking methed out Nazi soldiers rolling into your town in fucking neat Giorgio Armani uniforms, just ready and willing to murder. And you can get a lot of killing done on meth. And the Japanese soldiers were using it as well. The kamikaze pilots were jacked up on meth. That's how you get someone to fly a plane into a boat. Meth or religion. So the Germans were using meth hardcore up until 1941. And then they're like, this meth is becoming a little bit of a problem. We've now got an army of meth heads. Can you imagine that? Just entire regiments of Nazi soldiers in tattered clothes pushing around trolleys. It was a fuck sight to see. So anyway, they decided to heavily restrict the use of meth amongst the Nazi soldiers. And that was around 1941. And it didn't go so well for the Germans once they took away the meth. When they were on the meth, the Germans were just rolling through countries. No contest. I suppose that's like the start of a meth addiction. You're getting shit done. You're vacuuming your whole house. You're rearranging the furniture. You're getting shit done. And then a few years into the meth addiction, you've lost all your teeth, your family, your friends, and you're trading blowies for shard. That's the real history of World War II, meth. So anyway, after the war, there was like a huge excess of meth to be had. So doctors were prescribing meth to pretty much everyone. Truckies were using it to do all-nighters. The beatniks were using it to write books. It was used primarily for obesity as well. The doctors were just like, go give the fatties some meth. Hopefully they'll go for a jog. But they didn't. They just took the meth and stopped eating. And then in 1970, methamphetamine became a Schedule II drug. It became an illegal narcotic. You couldn't take meth anymore unless you were a 10-year-old kid who couldn't concentrate in class. Then you were prescribed a shitload of it to take all through your childhood. Meth was okay then. Anyway, that draws to a conclusion another week of Boyle Breaks history. That will be all for tonight, and I'll see you the fuck later.